Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Space Cowboy 17. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title and as you can see on your screen, this is the first iteration of the Space Cowboy show where you just listen to my voice, listen to what I have to say. So don't worry about looking at any visuals, just listen to what I gotta say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this will be a more easier format for me, considering of how busy I will be with college and work. Just sit down, record myself, edit a couple things, and then put it onto the internet. So I greatly appreciate those that have been supporting me over the last couple of years. So thank you guys so much, and let's get ready for 2019 this year. So let's get going. So for those that don't know and did not notice by the title of the video, who should stay and who should go? Obviously, I'm referring to the free agents the Dallas Cowboys have in 2019. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the Cowboys possibly going out and grabbing free agents. That is going to be a separate video for another day once we get closer and closer to free agency. What I am going to be referring to is those that are on the free agency block, as well as those that are on the table to get extensions, okay? But obviously, that will be saved for last because we can worry about those later, but more so we have to worry about our free agents for 2019. So let's get straight into this, guys. So the biggest fish to fry in this free agency pool of 2019 is DeMarcus Lawrence, the defensive end that we franchise tagged. I'm pretty sure we all know who he is. So for those that don't know, I even said that the Cowboys should franchise tag DeMarcus Lawrence for the simple fact is we want to see, can he replicate what he did last year, the year prior, excuse me, I should say now, coming off a 14.5 sack season. You know, a lot of us probably were thinking that's kind of a blip on the radar, you know, let's see if it comes up again. He had another double-digit sack season. He is the first Cowboy to do so since DeMarcus Ware, an impressive nod nonetheless. But when you look at it, you know, let's be honest with ourselves, he did have a productive season. You know, I think that when you look at it, he's one of the highest graded, you know, free agents out there. And I'm not saying that that should be the basis in which you pay someone. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that the Cowboys now have an established pass rusher, okay? The Cowboys haven't had an established pass rusher since DeMarcus Ware, right? And I think that if I'm the Cowboys, you have to pay DeMarcus Lawrence. Yes, I understand that he's had issues before with suspensions, injuries, you name it. But if I'm the Cowboys, this is my logic and reasoning. Who can you go out and get to replace this guy at a better value and has more production than him? I can't see anyone out there. And to be honest with you, this is going to be a free agency situation where the Cowboys will just re-sign most of their players or extend them. So let's not kid ourselves here, guys. Look, they're going to pay their own players. Do not expect a lot out of the free agency pool unless they have the money and they set everything up to where they can do such a move. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. For DeMarcus Lawrence, according to Sports Track, excuse me, it's not a person, it's a website. It takes all of the contracts in which it takes in productivity, longevity, age, you name it. It takes all those, and according to it, they recommend that DeMarcus Lawrence gets paid $19.6 million a year. Now, I know a lot of people will think that's insane, but you have to understand the Cowboys did take a pretty big gamble on DeMarcus Lawrence because you're thinking, okay, we franchise tag the guy, which, you know, on a $17.1 million deal for a year, which is probably what you were going to pay him long term if you had extended him. And you're saying to yourself, okay, we're going to see if this guy's worth it. And obviously he's worth it. So now he's going to ask for a little bit extra money because he's proven that, hey, I'm the first Cowboy to have double-digit sack seasons since, you know, number 94, DeMarcus Ware, not Randy Gregory, obviously. And he's going to want his due. So I definitely think the Cowboys, if out of all the other free agents, I wouldn't mind them bringing back DeMarcus Lawrence on a deal like that. Listen, like I said, you're not going to find someone out there that's going to replace his production value anytime soon or immediately. You know, it is possible, but it's extremely and highly improbable and unlikely. But with that being said, I would bring back DeMarcus Lawrence because of that kind of value that he has. Next, Tavon Austin, wide receiver. He was getting paid $7 million for this year. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, Jesus, how much money did they actually give the guy? Well, the reason they gave him $7 million a year was because of the contract he had with the Rams, and it carried over to our team, and now, since that was the last year of his deal, he's now up for an extension. Now, I think that Tavon Austin would be great for punt returns and having him as a specialist, a little Swiss Army knife. The thing is that I don't know how much money he's going to ask for it. So I'm assuming between the range of 3 to 5 million, which I would keep. You got to think about, it's like I always kind of look at the situation to where can you replace the guy, and I think Tavon Austin, you can argue, is a lot more replaceable than DeMarcus Lawrence. But the fact of the matter is that if I'm the Cowboys, you have someone that can provide you a lot in your special, and you could say, well, he did get hurt a majority of the year, so I don't know if you would pay. That's why I think that the Cowboys have leverage here. Look, they could say, listen, you were hurt a lot of the year, and we want to bring you back, but we're not paying you like 6-7 million. So we'll pay you 3 to 5 million. If they can do within that range, by all means, get him back here for a couple years. But if he asks for 7 million or more, hell no. Get him out of here. But that's my whole thing. Keep him if he's in that bracket. If he's not in that bracket, let him walk. Next, probably one of the most interesting ones of the free agency class, especially of recent, Cole Beasley, wide receiver. He was getting paid $3.4 million on his previous deal, and I'm assuming he's going to want a pretty good contract of around 6 to 7 million. And I could argue, he does deserve it. He has become more productive of recent. But the question is that, he's getting up there in age. Obviously, he's a very good slot receiver for Dak Prescott. But if I'm the Cowboys, you have to come with a conclusion of, do you bring him back on a $7 million deal, or do you let him walk? Now, I will say this. If they're going to pay him $7 million, I'm only doing at most 2 years. I'm not going to give him a 4-year contract or whatever. The main reason for that is because at that point, you would be in a process of looking for his replacement. And who knows, maybe the Cowboys go out and get a slot receiver to replace him if they let him walk. And if I'm the Cowboys, listen, I wouldn't be shocked if Cole Beasley walked. I think that if I'm the Cowboys, you have to make a huge judgment decision on what you do with Cole Beasley. Obviously, Cole Beasley, there would be games where he was a huge factor, and there would be games where he was a non-factor, and now people would want to say that his Twitter tirade is the main reason for letting him go. And I will say this, Cole Beasley, he does have those games where he shows up to play, but it does kind of rub me the wrong way when you're focusing on, a rap career, and then you're trying to do football. Listen, do what you want to do in your own time, but from what I heard with his previous rap album or whatever, he did it during the season from what I was told, but they'll take what I say with a grain of salt. So, for me, I'm on the fence with Cole Beasley. I would pay him at least 4 to 5, 6 million, around that range. But if he asks for anything more, absolutely not. Next, David Irving. No, I'm not bringing this guy back. This guy had not... He didn't do anything with the Cowboys, at all. I mean, he's just been a huge liability on this team. It was a waste of a roster spot. I'm not going to go any further than that. He was getting paid $2.9 million. That was a waste of money. So, too bad. Get out of here, David. I don't have much more to say on that. Cameron Fleming, tackle. He was probably one of the most successful signings of the previous offseason. Getting paid $2.5 million a year. I would hope that the Cowboys at least consider to extend him. Even getting paid $3 million for maybe 2 or 3 years. Now, you might be saying that's a lot for a backup. Guys, Cameron Fleming, when he was in there, was solid, okay? He was a lot better than a Chaz Green or a Byron Bell. Still get nightmares saying those names. But if I'm the Cowboys, and you're looking at prioritizing who to bring back in terms of depth, Cameron Fleming is at the top of the list, okay? Because he provided a lot of help when Tyron Smith was out. And the fact is he managed to hold it down when needed, and that was huge. So if I'm the Cowboys, my goal of, if you're talking about backups, definitely Cameron Fleming. Next, Jameez Olawale, fullback position, $2 million a year. At this point, I was kind of like, okay, let's go with it. But at this point, I'm starting to think that the fullback position is starting to become very obsolete with what we did. So if I'm the Cowboys, you have to come with a decision. Do you keep the fullback position or do you not? Obviously, they will. So if that's the case, you bring the guy back. But I'm not paying him $2 million a year. So I would let him walk for the most part, unless he wants a cheap deal. So that's just me. Next, LP Ladasor, long snapper. I apologize if I butchered that name. Bring him back. He got paid $1.1 million. Now he's getting at that point where you're gonna have to start looking for another long snapper at some point, or start gauging long snappers, because listen, he's getting up there in age, guys. He's one of the best in the business. Don't get it twisted. However, they just gotta get ready for that, because obviously he can't keep doing it forever. He is 37, 38 years old. He's actually now the only Cowboy still that has played in Old Texas Stadium. The Old Texas Stadium, I should say. So he's been here for quite a while. But I do think that they should extend him, and hopefully they start preparing for when he's going to leave. So there's that. I'm going to read off 3 names that I don't want back. Marcus Martin, Karoun Reed, and Dante Jones. As much as people might say that I'm being disrespectful for these players, listen, these are guys where I'm kind of like, not really. We can let these guys walk. Marcus Martin didn't do much. Karoun Reed, he was solid here and there, but I think that, I'm not going to extend the guy. I can find a replacement somewhere else. Dante Jones, it's the same situation. Some of these guys are solid, but I'm not going to pay to keep them. I'm just going to go in the draft and get my new guys. Next, Damian Wilson, outside linebacker. He was getting paid $686,000 just about. I would definitely think about bringing him back, but it depends on how much he wants. I'm not paying him more than $3 million. I know people might say, "Oh, you keep giving out all this money." Listen, I'm giving you a range. Obviously, the Cowboys will determine what they want to do. But I would like to bring him back, but the thing is like, he's one of those guys where it's like, it was like with Anthony Hitchens, it's nice. It would be nice to bring him back, but I think we would be fine without him. So that's kind of how I would approach this situation. So next, Rod Smith, running backs. He was getting paid $600,000. He is Jalen's brother. The fact of the matter is, we didn't use him a whole lot. I mean, he was productive here and there, but he just wasn't it. I think if I'm the Cowboys, you had to start considering, okay, we either bring him back on a cheap deal, or you have to go and look for a backup running back. I think that is the number one thing the Cowboys need to do, is they need to find a much better backup running back. Whether it's they bring back Rod Smith and they bring the scat back, they have to bring in a change of pace back, because they will make the offense more explosive. I think that's what I would be doing if I'm the Cowboys at the running back position. You have to make sure, obviously, if you bring back Rod Smith, cool and all, but I think that if you're the Cowboys, you have to start considering, okay, we probably need to upgrade from Rod Smith, and maybe use the guy that we bring in more. So, yeah, so there's that. Darian Thompson, just let him walk. He was a whatever guy. Justin March Lillard, I would let him walk too, kind of a whatever guy. And then Jeff Swaim, the most interesting, one of the cheaper contracts. This is going to be key, because if the Cowboys don't pay him, do not be shocked if they. I think this will tip their hand. If they bring back Jeff Swaim, they won't go after a tight end. But if they do bring back Jeff Swaim, don't be shocked. If they don't bring him back, don't be shocked if they go after a tight end with their first pick. So that's what I would keep an eye out. I would bring back Jeff Swaim for a year at most, but nothing ridiculous, because I want to see him used more. That's the problem. So there's that. So that wraps up the free agents. I know that went on for a little bit, but now we're going to get into the extensions. Okay. Obviously, there were 3 main ones that we are looking at, and those are the big ones. Byron Jones, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott. Let's start with Byron Jones. So Byron Jones, he does have his 5th-year option, which the Cowboys picked up. So he's technically not a free agent for this year, but he is for next year. So I haven't heard reports of him wanting to sit out or anything, which is good for now. Knock on wood, as I knock on wood. But he's going to get paid around $9 to $12 million if the Cowboys want to keep him. But at this point in time, I would not focus on extending him yet. I would hold off on him for the following one. Okay. But I could understand if the Cowboys want to pay him now so they don't get backlogged with contracts. Okay. Next, probably the biggest one, Dak Prescott. He becomes a free agent in 2020. I know a lot of people are on the fence about giving Dak Prescott a huge contract. I understand that, but my thing is that Dak Prescott has created a resume where it's kind of hard to say no to not give him the money. But not only is it hard to say no, you got to answer this question. Is there a reasonable way with where we are right now to go and acquire a better quarterback that you think is better than Dak Prescott, I should say, for those that don't like him? And can you, like, is he cheap? Is he a cheaper option, and is he a better option? That doesn't really exist with the quarterback position. That's kind of hard to do with the quarterback position, because typically once you find your guy, you sit with your guy for 10, 20 years at most, maybe 15, around there, and then you go with him. So I think the Cowboys are going to go all in with Dak, and they're probably going to pay him around the lines of 20 to 25 million, which, to be honest with you, is going to be a bargain come the next couple years, because you're going to probably see Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff get paid 30, 35 million, which would be ridiculous. And, who knows, maybe the salary cap, goes up a lot, and it helps us out. So, if I'm the Cowboys, you have to give Dak Prescott his money. He's led the Cowboys to the playoffs twice in his 3 years. He hasn't had a losing record at all. He has the stat line to say, hey, I'm a productive quarterback, all that other stuff. So, if I'm the Cowboys, you have to extend Dak Prescott before it gets too late. And I know some people say, well, you can wait till next year to give him his big deal. I'd rather you do it now, because imagine he has a monster season the following year, and he wants a lot of more money. So that's my whole argument on that. And I know, there will be the person that says, well, what if he sucks the following year? Well, then I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens the following year. Every year is an unknown until we get there. So finally, Ezekiel Elliott, running back. 2021 is when he becomes a free agent, assuming the Cowboys pick up his 5th-year option. He does want to get extended, guys. There are reports saying he might even hold out if he doesn't get his contract extension, and rightfully so, man. The Cowboys are using him a lot more than he anticipated, probably. Well, not necessarily, but still. You're looking at a payment of around $9.4 to $15 million a year, okay? And you got to think about it. He's one of the best in the business. He's led the league in rushing twice, okay? Arguably, he could have done it 3 consecutive years if he didn't get suspended. Obviously, he didn't have a huge touchdown total this year, but don't let that distract you from the impact that he had. And I think that if I'm the Cowboys, he's your franchise running back. I mean, you're going to have to pay him his due, and I think that this contract will be from... I think that he will be entering, I don't think people will say that he's already in his prime, which, yeah, I would say. But I think he'll enter his prime years where he's an experienced, deadly running back in this period of time. So, if I'm the Cowboys, you pay him what he needs, and you keep him. And I know a lot of people, and I keep saying that phrase, but I'm referring to everybody. Some people will say that, well, we're going to run him into the ground and not pay him. Guys, you got to understand that you can't penny pinch with some of these players. Like, I know it would be awesome if he didn't if we didn't pay him as much. That'd be cool. But you got to understand, this is a league where you have to pay your players money, okay? And I would love it if they would understand that mindset. But unfortunately, the Cowboys have a lot of good players that they want to pay their due, okay? Tom Brady gets his due. Everyone else gets their due. It's just, that's how it is. As much as a lot of people would beg to disagree and say, well, no, you can go in the draft. But guys, there's a point where you have to, once you get your players, you got to pay them. And then you have to continue building on that. The Cowboys are at a point to where they have their free agents, right? or excuse me, they have their players, they got to pay them, and then they continue to fill in the holes with the draft and free agency. So if I'm the Cowboys, just continue to do what they're doing, and hopefully they pay the players that they need to pay this offseason so that they can, you know, move forward and see what they have to fill in. So that pretty much wraps it for this first show. We did go on for a while, but you got to understand there was a lot to cover with all these free agents, why I say no, why I say yes, or whatever. So I greatly appreciate those that listened into the full show. This will probably be, you know, a once in a, you know, it might pop. I'm not going to have a set schedule for said show. It's going to be kind of whenever something happens, considering the fact that, you know, how busy I am. But with what I said, I thank everyone for tuning in. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, but not only that, leave a comment to who you think the Cowboys should keep, who they should let go. Why do you believe what you believe? And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I will see you guys probably after the Super Bowl, and we will be talking about possible free agents and maybe a couple other topics. So yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye, guys.